but critically, really critically, at the end of the day, the claim that the New York Times is making to the country, that everybody in the country believed that somehow this petition by ICANN, not Mr. Kennedy, had nothing to do with him, never discussed it with him, this petition would have left Americans without a polio vaccine. That claim is categorically false. They knew it was false when they published it. They intended the country to be misled, and that's what they accomplished. All of this is intended for one purpose. They're desperately trying to derail Mr. Kennedy's potential confirmation. And I'll tell you, if this is the best they could come up with, if the best they could come up with is a petition that was filed on behalf of somebody else, not Mr. Kennedy, that he didn't even know about, and then misrepresent what it was actually trying to accomplish, I mean, I'd say Mr. Kennedy's in a pretty good position, and they're doing a pretty bad job. But, you know, let me tell you, if I may, I can tell you why I do think it's important to what this petition was asking for, okay? It's important for the following reason. The outrage here should not be about what the New York Times is saying. The outrage here should be that the FDA licensed a product for injection into children based on a clinical trial that only reviewed safety for 3 days after injection. That's where the outrage should be. That should have been the New York Times headline, not the headline that they had. Most drugs are licensed based on multi-year placebo-controlled trials. Don't take my word for it. Go to the FDA website. Take a look yourself. You know,
but aren't they not allowed to do
companies?
Aren't they not allowed to do the placebo type trials on the kids? Isn't it found to be unethical because of their age and stage?
Only if placebo-controlled trials are conducted with children all the time. It's only considered unethical if there's an existing product that already treats that condition. Okay, for polio, in this instance, if they wanted to have done a placebo-controlled trial, they could have potentially done it because it was a brand new technology, but they could have at least used an existing polio vaccine as the control. In this clinical trial, there was no control, meaning if they had an existing polio vaccine that they thought that they had determined was safe, yes, they could have used that as a control. But even if they used another polio vaccine as a control, Chris, even if they would have done that, you only have 3 days of safety data after injection. That's useless to determine safety. You can't do that.
Are you going to keep the petition or are you going to withdraw it, Aaron?
It's not my petition, sir. I have a client, ICANN, and if they, you know, it'll be their choice whether they want to leave the petition in place. But look, I will tell you this. I could tell you this. ICANN did not file that petition in order to get the FDA to actually withdraw the vaccine. When it was filed in 2022, they never thought for a moment the FDA would require that. It's just a legal tool. It's the legal mechanism by which to get the FDA to review the clinical trial. That's all they really want. They just want the FDA to require proper data. ICANN does not really want, and nor do they ever expect, the vaccine to be withdrawn. This is about choice. It's about informed consent. That's the point. That's the focus.
Understood.
Right? And the problem here is that, just super quick, the problem here is that in 1986, if I may, the 1986, the National Childhood Vaccine Draft was passed by Congress to give immunity to vaccine makers for any injuries caused by their vaccines. At that time, there were only 3 injections in the first year of life. That's it, according to CDC schedule. We're now up to 29 injections in the first year of life.
And they have the same protection.
So all of those vaccines that came on, and they have the same protection. Yeah. All those vaccines that came on during the last, since 1986, including IPOL, this is why the clinical trials and doing proper controls are so critical. We've gone from under 13% chronic health disease in America among children to over 50%. I'm not saying vaccines cause all those, but we gotta rule that out, and that's why clinical trials are so critical.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.